Hey y'all, Tim here. So this is the bare minimum that you need to play at retirement communities. You need transportation, and that doesn't even have to be your own vehicle. You can get somebody to drive you to the gig. You could take an Uber. If you're making money, then it can come out of the top. So that's the number one bare minimum. Number two bare minimum is you need about 50 minutes of music. You can fill the space with chit chat and jokes, and you can end a little bit early, or you can do Q&A. Just work the crowd to fill up some space. But even if you're not comfortable doing that yet, 50 minutes of music is all that you need. Preferably from the 50s. But here's the thing. If you get in and you're able to play for the retirees, for the seniors, as they like to be called, at these communities, and you use my technique of soliciting requests, then you're gonna have more music than you know what to do with. This is how I started out. This is what I did. Is I went in. I was coming out of jazz school. You don't have to be a jazz trained musician to do this, by the way. You do not. I was coming out of jazz school, and I had this repertoire of songs. Like, they're mostly jazz standards. Some of them the residents knew. Some of them they did not. So I played all my music, and then I was like, does anybody have a request? And I wrote down every single request. I wrote down all the requests, and then I would say, if I don't know it, I'll go home and learn it. And I had a lot of free time, and so that's what I did. I went home and learned it. That's how I built my repertoire. This is such a key technique to building your repertoire and to connecting with the audience. You give them what they want. Just give them what they want. Write it all down. Make it dramatic if you want. Bring a list. I mean, like, I'm just gonna write this down on my list. You can bring a quill pen. I mean, it doesn't have to be like that dramatic if you're not into that. Just bring out your phone and like write it down. And then say, I promise I'm not texting. That always seems to get a laugh for me. I don't know how long that's gonna continue, but I would just bring out my phone and write it down, write the request down. And then I go home and learn it, and that creates continuity, so they want to have you back to see if you learned their songs. So make sure that if you promise to learn their songs, that you learn their songs. There was a point when I had to stop promising to learn songs because I was so overwhelmed with not only the songs, but also the gigs that I was playing. And so, but that's more on the very high end, I guess you could say, of playing gigs. Like, I'm playing 50 gigs a month now. It's crazy. It's crazy. I never thought that I'd be playing 50 gigs in a month. But that's what this method does. That's what I teach. So there's a funny story. When I started doing this, I would promise to learn any music that they brought me. And I made the mistake. Well, I don't know if it was a mistake, because it ended up being really good in the end. The sweet lady brings me 12 pages of Bumble Boogie by Jack Fina. And I'm like, oh, because I promised I didn't want to let her down. And like, this was her favorite piece of music. She used to play it, but she can't play it anymore because she has arthritis. And so I was touched. And it took me about 6 weeks to learn it, I think. But I learned it, 12 pages, and then I played it for her. And that was like 6 years ago, y'all. That was 6 or even 7 years ago. But I played it. And now she wants to hear it every time. Every month. She does not get tired of it. And anyways, I thought that was a really sweet story. So if you're looking to get started in this, choose a path. There's 3 different paths I talk about in my ebook. The first one is the cold calling method. The second one is the drop-in method. And the third one is the postcard method. Use a postcard. Ideally, you can combine all 3. But if you're introverted, use a postcard method. It's really easy. It does cost a couple $100s up front. I think like $250 is what you're going to spend. But if you use the exact postcard that I used, and don't change it too much, just change the picture out of me to picture of you. Don't change the text. People try to change the text, that messes it all up. If you send this postcard out, you will get responses. On average, I book about 5 to 6 gigs per 100 postcards. that I send out. It costs $250 to send out a postcard, and 5 or 6 gigs times 125. I mean, you do the math. Like, it is worth it. It's an investment. So anyways, that's a postcard method. And then you have to follow up, y'all. You have to follow up. You have to make some phone calls. So you'll have to get good at the phone calls. And that is the barrier of entry. That's the barrier of entry. You just have to make calls and book the gigs and treat it like a business. I mean, but it's a part-time thing. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's not a cutthroat industry. People are nice. You get to be nice. You get to bring value. You get to entertain. It's really a very blessed thing to do. It's wonderful. And then the other method is the drop-in method, which is if you're more extroverted, or if you'd like to become more extroverted, like maybe you want to develop a skill, then I detail the drop-in method in my book. I'm very proud of this. This has got me a lot of gigs, y'all. It's basically an instant audition, and you go in, you ask to speak with the activities director, ask them if it's a good time, and you never mess with bingo. Never, ever, ever mess with bingo. I think that's going to be the title of my memoir. Never mess with bingo. And if they're available, then you ask if there's a piano and if it's in tune. And then you say, and they're going to say yes or no. But then you alleviate that insecurity there, because most people are insecure about the pianos. You say, well, let's check it out. Or like, can we check it out? And then you walk with them, you know, you chit chat, you ask them how long they've been doing activities, and you build some rapport. So that's more detailed in the book, and you can also look at videos of how to do that in a way that feels comfortable for you, so it's not too salesy. And then you play the piano, and hopefully there's residents around you, so it's like an instant audition. Pro tip, if it's an out-of-tune piano, play some ragtime. If you can play the Maple Leaf Rag, I mean, and any out-of-tune piano is going to sound a lot better. And they're going to think that you're a miracle worker, because how did you make that old piano sound so good? And that's basically the method. That's basically it. It goes into more detail in the ebook, and that's at www.easypianogigs.com/ebook. And I also go into more detail in my coaching program, and I can coach you through it directly. But that's it, y'all. So you need a car or a method of transportation to get to the gig. You need 50 minutes of music, and then they will pepper you with requests if you can open it up that way. Write everything down, learn it, create continuity, go back, and then in the meantime, if you want to get more gigs and make more money and help more people, then do the drop-in method, do the postcard method, or do the cold calling method. I forgot to talk about the cold calling method, but you basically look at all the Google listings of senior homes in your area, and then you just call them up. The whole method's in my ebook. Thanks for watching, and stay musical.